Thanks for joining me tonight.
Thanks for inviting me.
Um,
We've been following each other for a little bit now, so
I looked back. I think we've been chatting for like 2 to 3 years.
yeah. So it's a pleasure to meet you finally.
And you. So I start off all of my interviews the same way. What's your earliest memory of hip hop?
Earliest memory of hip hop would have to be I have a sister that's she passed away, but she's about 5 years older than me. So she would always bring home 12 inches and 45s, and I would always jack them from her. So songs like Roxanne, Roxanne, and Fat Boys, UTFO. So we're talking like 85 or so. So I was 11 years old at the time. So that would be my first memories of hip hop.
Where'd you guys grow up?
Indiana, about 30 minutes from Indianapolis. So we were probably late on hip hop, but it was coming, you know what I'm saying? So, I know it originated in New York, so we were slowly getting it. We didn't have internet then and all that good stuff. So
Anything from like Chicago or Detroit or any like?
no, that was I didn't really branch off to Detroit and Chicago till like later on. So anything I got would just be from the local record store. I mean, we got it on time, but of course, it was probably bubbling in New York months before we got it.
Did you guys have numerous record stores, or was it just kind of the one?
Maybe two. I mean, but there would be like chains. It wouldn't be like your mom and pop's store that got all the good stuff. It'd be like Music Land, or we had a place called Karma, but it would get mainly the popular stuff. So you really had to know somebody to get the underground or the 12 inches or the songs before they hit the stores. You had to know a DJ or somebody.
And then, do you still live close or nearby to where you grew up, or?
Absolutely, I still live here.
So same house?
Oh no.
Same,
but,
same town.
Yeah, definitely.
What's compared to back then? What's the scene like now? Is there a scene?
No, there's no scene. Everything's more corporate now. We used to have the smaller shows and get the smaller acts, and I mean, big acts to us back in the day, like Boot Camp Click or Bahamadia. Just really close knit shows, but we don't have venues like that too much anymore. Venues now are bigger, and they bring in bigger acts, so we don't really get the underground acts like we used to.
So I know we've talked about you being about three and a half hours from Chicago. How far are you from like Minneapolis?
I usually go to Soundset, and I drove a couple times, so that's about a 9 hour drive.
Okay, that's dedication.
Yeah, definitely.
So other than the records that your sister kind of brought home, how did those translate into your love for hip hop?
I wasn't sure. I mean, I wasn't collecting. I just knew it personified my attitude and everything I wanted to, you know, something I wanted to pursue. But it probably wasn't until 88 or 89 that I knew, you know, I was in love with it.
So were you a collector first or a journalist first?
A collector, still a collector, always been a collector, but I don't think I knew I was a collector until
running out of room for stuff.
Yeah, I'm starting running out of the room. I mean, it wasn't collecting; it was just kind of I never threw anything away, and it paid off, I guess. And a lot of people go, "I wish I would have never threw my magazines away, my posters."
Yeah, and you didn't.
I didn't. So, yeah.
So how old were you, would you say, when you started realizing that you're like, I'm actually collecting this as more than a hobby? Or
I can trace it back to 1990, so about 30 years now. I walked into, we did eventually get an underground store that's no longer around, and I just remember walking in and seeing a America's Most Wanted Ice Cube poster on the wall, and asking the owner, "Can I have it?" And he gave it to me.
Just gave it to you. You didn't have to pay for it or anything?
Yeah, so back then, I mean, nobody knew things were going to be worth what they are now.
Right.
They would put things on the wall and tear them down, and the next poster would go up, and then they look back and go, "Man, I should have kept that." So at the time, it was nothing. I didn't think of anything, and put it up on my wall, tore it up, but if I would have known what I know now, I would have preserved it a little better. So I would say 1990, but I had magazines, 87, so talking about 33 years now.
And what kind of condition are those in?
They vary. I mean, some covers are off, some pages are, ripped. Because back then it was just really all about taking that pen up and putting it on your wall, or just covering your locker at school. So I've got a lot of regrets. Stickers, you put them up and you should be collecting them, but you eventually get rid of them.
How are you supposed to know?
Yeah, how was I supposed to know?
Do you have any favorite pieces?
Yeah, I got a few favorite pieces. I've got like Big Pun promotional stuff, J. the Damager soap, Dilla things, Dilla figures, Mad Lib figures, Quasimodo figures. Got quite a few pieces, pretty valuable.
Do you want to show us anything? You don't have to. I just want it.
Yeah, I mean, have you seen this? This came out recently.
So a friend of mine, another good friend of mine in Florida, is a huge collector of that kind of stuff too. So he's that stuff. Yeah.
So I'm in another room. All the other stuff's in another room. So
where all the CDs and tapes and magazines are.
Yeah. I mean, I've got magazines. I've got tons.
So anyone that watches this needs to know they have to follow you if they want to see that stuff.
Exactly. I don't like to show everything all at once because I think people will be like, I kind of like to post it piece by piece, little by little. So.
Well, I know we talked about if I was ever in Chicago that I'd come and kind of interview you at your house, and you'd have to let me take pictures.
Yeah. Only because I know you're, all about it. It just couldn't be some stranger. So.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
You're very welcome.
Thanks. Do you have any like rare or interesting stories about how you came to have some of the stuff, the memorabilia that you've got?
Yeah, I used to be a thief back in the day, so basically.
Like for a job?
No, I'm just saying like anything that was in a record store was pretty much up for grabs. I wouldn't say thief, but back in the day, all the promotional items would just be sitting there. Stickers, they'd have posters by the door, and I just think a lot of people wasn't interested in it. They were in there vinyl. Yeah, so, I mean, if people knew what they walked past and left behind, they would be pretty pissed off. But I was that guy that always made sure I left with something. Whether I'm at a show and posters are on the wall, flyers, I would just always keep
I was the same way. Kept anything.
What's that again?
I said I was the same way. I just didn't hold on to any of that stuff. Like I have a lot of buttons that I've taken from shows, but that's about it.
Right. So.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, just whatever. Whatever I could get, flyers, posters, stickers, show programs. It was up for grabs. I always made sure I came up with something.
So what led to you getting into journalism?
I've always admired people like Ed Lover and Dr. Dre and everybody who hosted a rap show. And I mean, before Facebook and Instagram, I think it was almost impossible to have those type of jobs. But now that we have these platforms, it's like, why not? I'm sitting here talking to this rapper and that rapper. Why not, showcase it and from a fan point of view? Because I think some of the journalists out there who do interview these rappers probably really aren't interested. It's just part of their job. Right. So anybody that you see me interview with somebody I'm really a fan of, and you know, I've always wanted to. So now that I have the platform, I just decided to pursue it a little more.
Do you feel the same way as I did? So when I started doing interviews, it was literally just being like, I had no idea it would be that easy. All you do is reach out and just be like, hey, would you be interested in talking about X? And then pretty much people always say yes.
Oh yeah, I get excited. You know, I never take it for granted. Yeah, so it's like, why not take advantage? And they're more than, you know, happy to. A lot of them are, because you know, they feel maybe like nobody's interested as far as journalists. You know, there's no magazines out there really too much anymore. So,
and not even that, but just having a platform to kind of push whatever they're releasing or working on, or just making sure they're staying current.
Yeah, because magazines pretty much focused on 1 month at a time, whereas it's a daily thing now. You can push whatever single or whatever somebody has going on almost immediately. So, yeah.
Do you have any notable interviews that have kind of just stayed with you, whether it was for a good reason or not?
Interviewing
Conway. How long have you been doing interviews for?
I would say about 5-6 years.
Okay.
So just traveling to places and them being open to sitting down with me, not knowing me from anybody. Just being invited into their houses, you know, K-Cut from Main Source, sitting and talking about the 25th anniversary of Breaking Atoms. A young Conway the Machine before Griselda blew up into this thing it is now. Sitting down with Craig G, who's a legend. Do It All from Lords of the Underground. Just guys that I've always grown up admiring, you know, invite me to their houses. You know, it's always a great memory. You know, to be even flying out to London to get with the Fly Hooligan.
Oh, sure.
That was really cool, you know. So. Yeah.
So did you purposely fly to these places just to interview these people, or you were going to be there and then you're like, who can I interview while I'm there?
A lot of times it's like that, but there's been times where I'm like, you know what, let me just see who's interested, and I'll fly out there. I'll fly anywhere, you know, if somebody's interested. But, you know, if I'm visiting LA, why not reach out to 5 or 6 people? If I'm in New York, why not, you know? So it's a little bit. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
It's a little bit 50-50.
Got it. Are there any artists who you've pursued for a while, who you really want to interview, just haven't had the time to do it, or you haven't really been able to get them locked in, or do you just reach out and then if they don't respond, you're kind of like, okay, on to the next?
Yeah, I don't really push, you know, pursuing somebody. You can kind of tell who's interested and who's not. So I don't think there's anybody that, that we're just kind of waiting. You know, me and D-Wise from the Bums have been playing tag. I kind of got some other things I really don't want to speak on because I feel like I'll jinx myself.
That's okay.
But no, pretty much everybody I've wanted to, either it has happened or it hasn't. And I won't like bombard somebody with, hey, do you want to? Hey, you know.
I don't think it's always about not being interested. I think sometimes it's just like with schedules, or it's not time that they want to promote something. I know I have 2 people that I pursued for at least 4 to 5 years that only last year I was able to finally get an interview with. So
yeah, but you can kind of tell who's interested, who's
right.
Not. You know, if they're interested and we're just not, you know, scheduled.
Oh yeah, if they don't respond.
Yeah, so everybody that I pretty much wanted to, you know, and I'll see who's coming to Indiana, and I'll reach out, and I can see their tour, and you know, usually they're with it or they're not. So I don't take it personal.
That's a good idea. I know you said you didn't want to talk too much or jinx yourself, but do you have any kind of like bucket list people you want to make sure that you interview either soon or in the future? Or...
Oh yeah, there's always like, Scarface, or I'd like to sit down with LL Cool J. I mean, there's tons of people. So it's just really all about, connecting and getting them to believe in you and making it happen. So, I mean, everybody, I'm just not limited to anybody. So anybody who wants to, maybe feels like they don't have a voice anymore, I'm willing to, go back and relive some memories and see what happens. I'm definitely caught up in the 80s and 90s. So.
Me too. Is there anything that you want to promote?
I
like
guess,
where people can see your stuff, or...
Yeah, I got a blog spot on WordPress. It's also under the journalist Sin-Seer. Most of my stuff you can find on Instagram at the journalist Sin-Seer. And that's pretty much in YouTube under the journalist Sin-Seer. That's pretty much my main spots.
I just realized I didn't ask, where did the name Sin-Seer come from?
Good question. So it came from the movie Belly. Nas's character's name was Sin-Seer, and that was way back when the movie came out. Mm-hmm. So I spelled it a little different because I think somebody already took the spelling. But his character pretty much sums up, the way I am. Just kind of a thinker before doer, whereas DMX was like doing things and then thinking about it later. So yeah, it was named after Nas's character from Belly.
Nice, that was a good soundtrack.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you have anything else that you want to share?
Just everybody be safe during these times. Hopefully we can get back to living and going back to shows. And I know I'm supposed to come out to New York a few times. Most Def show, check you out, and the Dilla thing. So
you gotta come to Donuts.
What's that?
You gotta come to Donuts.
Yeah, what month is that usually in?
February. Everything is February.
Okay.
It's always the Monday. It's always the Monday after President's Day.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm hearing like shows aren't supposed to be picking back up till 2021. Is that true?
That's probably the smart part. But I've received several emails from venues to be like, oh, so and so is gonna play in August or October. Like I have tickets to Rage Against the Machine in August. And I'm pretty sure it's gonna get canceled, but you never know.
Do you think so?
Yeah, the Catronata show at the end of May that I was supposed to go to got canceled. So.
Wow. Yeah, I just want everybody to kind of keep up with what's going on, staying safe, staying isolated, so we can hurry up and get back to.
I don't know if it's get back to. I think it's gonna be something totally different.
Yeah, it's not going to be the same, but I was seeing that Big Dip brought up something interesting from the Goody Mob. He brought up that, the playing field for music is now even because people have to now go back and go back to writing, because you can't talk about the club now.
No.
You can't talk about your new car.
Not if you're not D-Nice.
What's that?
Not if you're not D-Nice.
Yeah. You can't talk about anything or what's going on right now. So the playing field is back to, you have to say something in your music. Nobody cares about your jewels now. Nobody cares about your new car. So I think it's going to be good for hip-hop once we finally get over it.
Yeah, that's true. I'm just nervous about how it's going to affect venues and shows and stuff going forward.
Yeah, I don't see myself like immediately jumping back into the...
Oh yeah, being in large crowds?
Right. I mean, I just don't see it. Movie theaters,
I'm already nervous to get back on the subway whenever that happens.
Yeah, that's... Gotta still be gloved up, masked up. What are you doing now to get around?
I don't
Oh, you're at home? You're home working? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not an essential worker, so.
I think what they say is it's supposed to kind of disappear this summer and then come back.
And spike in October, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I think life as we know it is going to be different from here on out.
Very much so, and what I don't like is that it's going to be, I don't know, I'm sure not everyone, but I think a lot of people are just going to be paranoid, which is
as they should be, I guess, to be more aware and, you know.
Aware is probably a better word than paranoid.
Yeah, definitely. So, that's about it, man. Everybody just be safe out there, you know, that's all I really want, you know, so we can get back to living again, because it's definitely smacked us in the face. Nobody's seen this coming, so.
It needs to smack some people harder, though.
Yeah, but I think it's also bringing out creative juices within people.
Definitely.
People are tapping into, you know.
They need to get creative.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, thanks so much for talking to me.
Well, thank you so much for having me. Am I your first guest?
Yes, you are.
Are you going to have more guests?
On IG Live, you are.
What's that?
On Instagram Live, you are, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, thanks for having me.
Thank you. I'm sure we'll talk soon.
All right. Thank you.
Have a good one.